Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I want to start this video off by saying keep your head on a swivel today in light of the things that happened yesterday in Gaza at the hospital. Hezbollah and a few other Muslim Islamic extreme groups in the Middle East have called for a day of rage today. I know we had one last Friday and it kind of ended up being a nothing burger for the most part. But things are already happening, not in the United States as of yet, but in the Middle East and in Europe. There's a lot of protesting and rioting. They've tried to overrun embassies. Molotov cocktails have been thrown at synagogues. So there is things happening already. And the day's just getting started here in the United States, and who knows how the day will end up being because of all this. The tensions are very, very, extremely high right now. So I wouldn't just discount it as just a nothing thing that's going to happen like last Friday. Something very well could happen in certain areas. So certainly keep your head on a swivel, watch your six. It's just stay alert, folks. Because we never know what will happen. And as we've learned over the last week or so, that a lot can happen in just one day. Now, that all being said, as much as the YouTube algorithm would love that I talk about sensational things going on in the news with this, I'm going to take this video in a kind of a different direction. And I ask that you stay with it. I also ask that you have an open mind, because that's exactly what's needed to understand all of this. And I am no genius and I haven't got it all figured out, but I'm seeing something else at play with all of this Israel-Gaza stuff going on. And it's not about who's right and who's wrong necessarily. It's about who's getting played. And it's you and I. Yes, there's bad people. Yes, they did bad things. Yes, lots of people were murdered and mutilated and raped and very horrific things. And the people that did that should absolutely be punished. That to me is not in an argument. But we always have to remember that no matter how real something is or how fake it is, the people that are kind of in charge and ruling everything, they use it to play us. There's a big psyop going on, folks, and we have to step back sometimes and realize that, and not get so caught up in our side, whichever side that is for you, that we can't see something through whatever's being told and actually observe and find the truth. Over the last week, almost 2 weeks now, week and a half, I have seen more division, more argument, more hyper emotional feelings than I think I've ever seen in my life. I'm 45, and so I've seen quite a bit. In the past 3 years or so, we have watched this nation and really around the world be divided more and more over multiple different things. You know, at first it was everyone's got an illness, and if you have the illness, you can't be around me. And if I don't have the illness, I can't be around you because I could get it. And we were isolating people, and even to the point of ridiculous plastic plexiglass barriers and saran wrap people and not allowing grandchildren to hug their grandparents. And it was absolutely absurd, but you know what it did? It divided everyone. And then we went from that to getting a poke in your arm. And if you didn't have the poke, well, you can't come around for Thanksgiving or for birthdays. And if you did have the poke, I don't want to be around you because I might get something you're shedding. You know, it was all of that. And then we went from that to Ukraine, and that became even more divisive. It became kind of like almost a sports event. You know, if you're on this side and you play for this team and you support this team, you're good. And if you're not, then I hate you. And we've watched America become more and more divided. And then now we're on to this. And there's good and there's bad people in this, and I'm not saying it's all neutral, but there is something more. There is a psyop being played upon the American people, because these folks that are kind of running everything, the ones that are trying to push their Agenda 2030, their Great Reset, their New World Order, well, they don't really care about whose side and who's right and who's wrong, and they certainly don't care about a bunch of victims. They don't care about children in hospitals, and they don't care about daycare centers, and they don't care about women and families, and they don't care about that kind of stuff. All they care about is their power. And they're willing to probably do just about anything to reduce the population and to get a strong hold over you, your mind, your DNA, your rights, everything. And so we have to always keep that in mind, unless any of you have actually been over there where all this is going on. None of us truly completely know what's going on, because, well, the only way we know is through media and politicians, and then one side or the other side releasing video of it and claiming this is what's happened. And so we have to have some discernment so that we can look through the things that are happening. And yes, we can agree that one side is doing something wrong and the other side is a little bit more of a victim of this, but we can also agree that both sides are playing a part in a big charade. I mean, we don't know what other third parties are involved in things. I mean, it's certainly not without, outside of the reach of our own intelligence community to be doing little things along the way to encourage both sides. Virtually every war that's been probably in the last few centuries have all been funded on both sides by the same people. It's probably the same way now. And we have to realize that and not get so caught up in the emotional drama of my side is right and I hate you because you don't agree to that. I mean, it's even gotten to the point now that folks that are trying to just be neutral and not say, and like myself, I can easily call out Hamas as doing horrible atrocities. What they did was absolutely horrible, but that doesn't necessarily default to me being on Israel's side necessarily. And because of that, I'm the bad guy. We've gotten to the point that you absolutely have to pick sides. And if you don't pick sides, that means you're for the other side. And if you don't pick sides, that means you're a bad person. Do you see the narrative here? Do you see how they're dividing people? Do you see how they're spinning their hate right within us? And so many people, even on our side, are just gobbling it up. I'm watching it online. I'm watching it right here in my own community, that sides are being picked, and it's causing discontent. Folks, you need to get ready for this. I think that you're going to see more and more friendships lost specifically because of this. We're going to see it happen with future events. This is part of their narrative, to seed dissent amongst everyone. They know that if we can't get along, that if we're constantly fighting, if we don't trust each other, if we don't like each other, then the only people that we can run to for safety is them, the government, the people in power. They know that if they cause so much chaos and confusion, that people will fear anything and everything. And when there's fear, then they run to the one thing that they believe to be their safety and their security. And in fact, that one thing is usually the true evil. Don't allow yourselves to be caught up in the emotional drama of this. Sure, it's fine to realize who's the victims and who's the aggressors. It's fine to acknowledge that there's innocent people and that there's a lot of horrible things that are being done. But folks, understand that the people that are at the top of the food chain, all they care about is that none of us get along, and that we're all terrified, and that we all believe everything that we're being told. Being able to see through that and think for yourself and control your emotions and be able to have some discernment is the one thing that these elites absolutely despise. So do the thing that they hate. Don't get caught up in it. Yes, bad things have happened. Yes, lives have been lost. Yes, there is real evil out there. And sometimes evil can be in both camps. That doesn't mean that both camps are evil. It just means that there can be bad apples in both camps. Have some discernment, folks. Don't allow what they're doing, their little psychological operations, to control how you think. Think on your own freely and look through all of the stuff that's going on. Dig through it, and it's thick weeds, to be able to discern what's really happening, to use your logical, rational side of your mind to think about things. It's no different than the going back 3 years ago to the whole pandemic. Everyone was terrified. The TVs and the internet were plastered with people falling over dead and convulsions and all this. And when it started here, people were absolutely terrified that it was going to happen, so much so that they complied with everything that they were told to do. They stopped going to work, stopped going to school, stopped going to church. They locked themselves in their homes. They complied with everything. They gave up their rights because out of fear of what they perceived were going to happen. And it ended up not happening. Don't allow that to happen here or in future events, because at this point, there's a definite pattern going on. And so regardless if this Israeli-Gaza thing is the end that tips us over the edge or not, there will be more things like this happening, more things that just get your emotions going, and people are choosing sides and dividing us further and further. Keep your head on your shoulders, folks. Think through things. Don't get caught up in their emotional chaos, because that's what they want. They want you to not be thinking clearly. This is part of prepping. This is part of that mental preparedness that I talk about. They are notorious for their psychological operations. This is what they do. And in the end, that's probably the biggest thing they do. Most of the rest of the physical stuff, it's caused by the fear and the panic of their psychological operations. You need to be getting your houses in order, folks. Things are worsening rapidly. We need to be getting ready for that. We need to be taking stock on what's going on and getting your home and your communities ready, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.